الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على السلام حي على السلام حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما أما بعد. Dear respected brothers and sisters, before I start, subhanAllah, days like this with the extreme heat and then also the smoke, you go outside, the sky is orange, you can't last a few minutes without pouring in sweat. You need to remember the day of Yom Qiyamah. The judgment, subhanAllah, where we're going to be standing and as an authentic hadith, drowning in our sweat, the levels of our deeds, of our badness. So the more sins we've committed and more committed sins, that will be the level of sweat. Some up to our ankles, some up to our knees, some will be just barely. And so may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us from that day. So I wanted to spend a few minutes today talking about something. This is as you all aware, we started a new Hijri year, right? So typically, if people comes up, my turn, and I get to talk to me about the Hijrah or about something to deal with the new year. So I figured I'm not going to talk about the Hijrah, but I wanted to just generalize, what is happening in our lives? What just happened, right? Yes, we turned the number on the calendar. A certain number of years has changed, right? You might remember the hijrah. Some people might even, shouldn't make like a big deal or celebration of the New Year. This is not something the Prophet taught us. But as a Muslim, we should contemplate, what just happened. And, what happened in the most basic sense is a year passed from our lives, right? So the Western view of things is, let's celebrate. Let's celebrate a new year. Okay? That's fine. You can keep celebrating until you die, but what do you celebrate? But as a Muslim, we should, have a little bit more of a deeper thought about what just happened. And what happened is we lost some of our capital. That's really the only thing that happened. Allah gave us all some capital in this world. If I lost $1,000, I'm not going to be celebrating it, that's for sure. But what we all did is we lost a year. A year passed from our lives, all of us. We're all equal in that. So part of our capital got reduced. That's all it is. My point is, what did we do with that capital that we had, and what are we going to do with the future capital? Because this is what a Muslim should be thinking about, versus, it's 2021, let me go celebrate. So, we're a Muslim, like I said, Allah gave us some capital, and think of it like this. We have some capital, and we're trading with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the example Allah gave us. This isn't something that I came up with. Allah talks about mu'minun, says, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ يَتْلُونَ كِتَابَ اللَّهِ وَأَقَامُوا الصَّلَاةَ وَأَنفَقُوا مِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ سِرًّا وَعَلَانِيَةً. Allah's giving an example of people, right? They read the book, they recite the book, they spend in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they pray. What are they doing? يَرْجُونَ تِجَارَةً لَنْ تَبُورَ. They are engaged in trade with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but not any sort of trade. Allah says trade that will not fail. Then tabu. It's not normal trade. So this is a guaranteed trade. So it's a guaranteed trade, but I'm losing time. I'm losing my capital. I have less and less time to invest in this trade. So this is what I should be thinking about. But it's kind of a part of the reason why we don't think about this as much is it's a long-term thing, right? Humans, we always think of short-term, mostly, right? Long-term planning takes, even financially, even the more of dunya, we don't give it enough thought. And planning for after and death, this is definitely very long-term. Many of us, we don't even think about it, right? Dunya is people, we're not thinking about our death. But that's what we need to build about, long-term consequence, for long-term planning. So, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also gives us an example, another example of the person who disbelieved in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah says what? When death comes to them, death will come to all of us. Alhamdulillah, so these are the disbelievers, but we want to be, we don't want to fall in any sort of category of this type of person. حتى إذا جاء أحدهم الموت. Allah's talking about these people. When death comes to them, they said, قال رب ارجعون. Please, God, return me. Give me some more life. Right? Give me some of that capital that I just wasted. 50, 60, 70, 80 years that I wasted of my life. Just return me. لعلي أعمل صالحا. Maybe, لعلي, if you return, I will do good. Right? But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, what? No. You're not going to return. And Allah knows. إنها كلمة هو قائلها. It's just something somebody's saying. Right? You catch a criminal and say, oh, I'm not doing this again, right? But then they'll come back to it. Allah knows this. So we don't want to be those type of people, right? Then we just let our lives waste away and then we go, oh, I wish I had that 1 year back. I wish I had that 1 month back. Okay? But subhanAllah, time, the ulama said, it's one of these things like I said, we all have it, but it's so easy to waste. It's so important. One of the poets said, الوقت أعظم ما عميت بحفظه وأراه أسهل ما عليك يطير. And time is the greatest thing you're given to save. Yet, I see it as the easiest thing for you to waste. And it's very true, right? All of us are guilty. Any other thing we'd be called crazy, right? Something so bad just wasting, but that's what it is. We all have time and we all waste it. It's different degrees. It's very easy for us to waste. So, I want us to kind of think about, we all have this, right? Think about that moment when you had something, some crunch time, deadline at work, something at home, something very critical. You're counting the minutes and the seconds and you're really trying to optimize your time. Why? Because you know you're trying to get something out of it. But when that's done, seconds, hours, days, weeks, months can just pass by. And you don't know, what did I do with that time? So think about that. We're all capable of taking advantage of our time, but it needs some effort, some planning. Okay. So what are some of the reasons or excuses we might give ourselves for letting time kind of go by, right? Well, some people might say, it's very hard for me to plan my time. Blaming others, for example. Other people waste my time, right? People are coming, at work, for example, this happens. You're trying to focus on something, constantly getting interrupted. Life happens the same way. So you're in charge of your time. If you're at work, you're constantly getting interrupted, I'm sure you're going to find a way to kind of focus, right? Same thing with life. This is my time for ibadah, this is my time to go to the masjid, whatever. You can't be constantly being interrupted by people and blaming them. And very funny story. One of the ulama, Ibn Jawzi, is very famous. He wrote a book called Sayyid al-Khutba. Basically, like, he captured his thoughts. He captured his thoughts in a book. Literally, that's the little time of the book. And if you read the book, that's what it is. Just random thoughts he captured. And very insightful. And one of the things he talks about is his time, how he used his time. You think about these scholars, they weren't prophets, right? They were normal people, right? But look at like the amount of books they wrote. You think volumes, and they only lived 50, 60s, and this was back when everything is handwritten and lights and like candlelight. But they wrote volumes and volumes because they really used their time. They're not superhuman. He's telling you the tricks he did. So one of the things he says that a lot of times I get interrupted by people, and he's a scholar, so people are coming and asking questions and things. And sometimes scholars get kind of annoyed by that too, right? So he said, I always keep myself occupied. He wrote this in his book. Like, when people come talk to me, I always want to pencil when I'm preparing, sharpening, because these things take time. He's constantly keeping himself busy and doing things and doesn't let time pass by. So we can all do things like that, little things, right? We just add up. All of us are capable of just find something that you're able to do. And like, for example, we used to all commute all the time. We'll do less now, but we'll get back to it eventually. Spend that time wisely in the car, listen to something, a lot of audiobooks that you listen to, obviously. For dunya, and also a lot of the deen, people taking these big books, you can actually listen to the most technical value audio. That's an easy way to get some of the stuff that at least be, what's in this book, the hadith, as an example. So many examples, but little things like that. The point is, if you don't value the time, don't look for little things to take advantage of. So keep that in mind. And I'll remind all of us how we were all very careful like in the month of Ramadan, right? Another excuse people, it's just too hard. I can't organize my time. It's just going to make my life, miserable, whatever. I just want to do whatever. But think about how we were organized in Ramadan. And also, subhanAllah, you feel fulfilled, right? There's a sense of satisfaction. We all want to accomplish things, different things of the deen. When you accomplish it, you feel good about yourself. But it takes some planning, it takes some effort, and it takes, schedule. And look at what we did in Ramadan. We were all on schedule. We eat at a specific time, stop eating at a specific time. Very, very punctual. Also, I saw the beautiful hadith, again, dividing the time. He said, if Tanim comes on top of the house, he was giving advice to the Sahaba, and he said, if Tanim comes from the word like Ghanima, the sheep, and the word itself means like, this is something very easy for you to capture. Sheep kind of keep them, you herd them all together, it's not like herding. A little bit difficult, but it's relatively straightforward once you kind of handle it. So it's to take advantage of something that's right there for you. He mentioned 5 things, and a couple of them, maybe 3, are sort of related to time, essentially. First one is Habab, called the Hanabi. So you're youth before you're old. You get older. That's fine. As time progresses, we all get weaker and older. All of us do. So we're less capable of things. Very specific. Your free time before you get busy. Right? If you have some free time, it's not something to waste. It's something the Prophet said, take advantage of your free time. Right? Look at how the Prophet is wording. And in general, hayat, your whole life before your death. So there's kind of progression of time. Okay. Ibn Mas'ud also has some very beautiful sayings. He had a lot of wisdom. So one of the things he said about time, he said, "Inni la anqut al-rajula," i.e., anqut from extreme hate almost. A man, rajula, why? And Allah fariqa, he's just kind of free, not doing anything. ليس في شيء من عمل الدنيا ولا عمل الآخرة. He's just not doing anything, not for his deen, dunya, not for his akhirah, just kind of letting the hours go by. And so says, this person I hate. It's a foolish person. It's like imagine a person who has money just kind of throwing it all around. That's what he sees. This person has time, he's not using it. Neither dunya nor deen. He's just kind of sitting there, wasting time. Killing time is a crazy phrase that that's part of our parlance. Sometimes we'll kill some time. Again, this is not how Muslims should be thinking about time and how it passes. But does that mean like constantly being, like I mentioned Ramadan, can we constantly be in that state as we're in Ramadan for a day? No, it's impossible. Right? So this is a trick of shaitan. It's not like extremes. You do nothing or you're constantly trying to maximize every single moment. It's not going to be possible. The point is to be sustainable. Do something and make sure, don't keep looking at like what can I do more, but first can I sustain what I'm doing right now, right? Can I sustain this ability? I'm going to take advantage every day. I'm going to set aside 10 minutes to do something that I wasn't doing before. Right? So, or I'm going to listen to that audiobook while I'm doing it. Okay, do that consistent. Don't do it for 3 days and just kind of give it up and go back to our old ways. And then, as an example, right? Whatever action you want to do, but start and build on it. And our nafs, changes. We have to be familiar with this and aware of this. Ibn Mas'ud himself, I want to bring his saying as well, because he had a lot of wisdom. He was just talking about being upset at this man just kind of kills time and does nothing. But Ibn Mas'ud knows how humans are and how the nafs is. And his advice was also another saying, he says, إِنَّ لِلْقُلُوبِ شَهْوَةً وَلِلْبَالِ. Hearts, they have times where they're like, they are willing to come to something, right? They have the shahwa at that. So at some point you find yourself really wanting to listen, for example, to that lecture. But at other times, no. Sometimes your heart's kind of feels weak, you don't really want to make the effort, right? It's changing. So what he's saying is, again, use the word because they were talking to the Prophet. When you feel that urge, that desire, that want to do something useful, push yourself, take advantage, full advantage. Because there will be times where you will dip, right? Your heart's not really into it, just let it rest for a little bit, right? Let it go. But don't let it go forever. Just kind of, fuel up, right? And this, of course, is from the Sunnah of the Prophet. There are times where you're going to be able to really push hard, and times where you're going to, you have to balance it all out, right? The famous story, I'm sure you've all heard before. If you haven't, it's a beautiful story of Salman al-Farisi. He had a lot of wisdom, subhanAllah. He was one that told the people, for example, about the trench, to dig the trench, and the Battle of Ahzab. And one day, when the Muhajirin came over to Medina, the Prophet made brother between Muhajirin and Ansar as well. And so he was with that. Salman al-Farisi was living with him. And his wife, that complained to him. She said, yeah, Salman, Abu Darda, he has no need for this dunya. She's complaining to this Sahabi, saying, your brother here, he has no need for this dunya. So he didn't just let it go, like, what's going on here? So he was with them, and then, like the next day, they were bringing out the food. And he said, Abu Darda, you're going to eat with us. I said, no, I'm fasting. I said, no, you're going to eat with us. Keep your fast, you're going to eat with us. And he did that. And then, for at night, he got up for Qiyam, because he would always do the beginning of the night, and Salman said, no, go back to sleep. I said, okay. And then he got up again later in the night, he said, no, go back to sleep. And then the third part of the night, the third part, he woke him up, and he said, okay, now we'll go for Qiyam. And then Salman said, he just told me, he said, that إِنَّ لِرَبِّكَ عَلَيْكَ حَقًّا. Your Lord, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, has a right upon you. وَإِنَّ لِبَدَنِكَ عَلَيْكَ حَقًّا. And your body also has a right upon you. Right? إِنَّ لِأَهْلِكَ عَلَيْكَ. Your wife, your family has a right. So, give everybody their rights. Yeah, so again, Muslims have to take advantage of time, but obviously, give everybody their rights. And when they went to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, Salman said it's right. The Prophet agreed with what Salman said. So again, the point is just value time, but we need to be smart about how we use our time. That's the point of the reminder. And then finally, one thing I wanted to mention too is even this point of following your heart. Right? Even within ibadat, even within these, there are choices. So don't always force yourself to do something that your heart doesn't push you towards. Right? Meaning what? So again, another famous story, Imam Malik. Obviously great Imam, right? So he dedicated a large part of his life to knowledge, seeking knowledge, writing in books and all sorts of things. So in the story, this Alim, his name was Abdullah ibn Abdul Aziz. He wrote to him, said, yeah, Imam Malik, you should not dedicate your life to, don't spend so much time in knowledge. You should be a worshiper, you should be in the masjid praying, you should be advising him, telling him you shouldn't be doing this. Imam Malik answered again in a very wise way. He didn't dismiss him and say, well, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm a great scholar. He just said, Allah has distributed the good deeds. Was distributed the good deeds in Allah for them, like He has distributed rizq. Some of us are rich, some of us are poor, some of us have children, some of us have assets, some of us have, Same thing with Al-A'mal. He's given me the love of seeking knowledge and the ability he didn't say this, but obviously he was smart, right? He had the capability, he had the mental capability. Not everybody can do these more filth, right? But Allah's given you the love for prayer extra prayer. So I'm happy with what I'm doing, you're happy with what you're doing, and inshallah all this will lead us to Jannah. So how can I serve my community or do something good for my community? It doesn't mean being in the masjid, it doesn't mean fasting every single day. I'm good at teaching, I teach the community, right? I dedicate some of that time, I'm good, I have some knowledge, whatever. Everybody has their own special ability or characteristics. قولوا قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم واستغفروه انه هو الغفور الرحيم. So yeah, what I want to just reiterate before I end the khutbah is that, as Muslims, these events when they happen in the passing of the year, the only there's special thing here is to remember that our time is passing by, our life is passing by. Let's kind of recalibrate. If we're doing something that we want to continue, we keep doing it. I look at myself and say, I could have used some of my time better, and I try and adjust, right? But I don't just keep status quo, because if I'm just not thinking and not evaluating, then what happens is we all tend to just fall off, right? And so this is a marker to remind us. Now, of course, before I have to mention, obviously we're in a special month, right? Still, this is the month of Muharram. So as part of the usual Khutba, beginning of the year, a reminder for all of us of the importance of the month of Muharram, that of course the month of Muharram is one of the 4 sacred months, Ashhur al-Hurum. So they have their own Allah chose, Allah created time, Allah gave us time. Allah said special parts or days or months of this time are unique. So as part of my ibadah, I recognize this and I keep them. The same in Muharram is one of these months. And one of the things we can do in the month of Muharram is just extra fasting. Because of the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, this is in Muslim. The best fasting after the month of Ramadan, so not obligatory fast, is in this month of Muharram. So let's just talk about using our time. Fasting takes effort, of course, but it's something you're doing while you're doing your other things. You don't have to stop doing work if you're fasting, right? So try and, if you're not fasting regularly, at least 3 days a month. If you can do more than that, you can do Mondays and Thursdays, as the Sunnah Prophet was. But as a minimum, of course, these special days that come. And of course, in Muharram, we have one special day. Right? The special day is the day of Ashura. Ashura, the 10th day. The 10th day, which will be this next Wednesday, inshallah. So the 18th of August, that's going to be the day of Ashura. The significance of Ashura, as you might know, is, of course, historically, this was the day that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said Musa alayhi salam from Fir'aun. So that's a reminder of Allah being with the believer and helping them. Keep these things in mind when fasting. We don't just do things. There's reasons, right? So that was the reason, and the reward for fasting in the month of Ashura also not that big. I think Allah will forgive 1 year of sins, past year of sins. Right? So very simple deed with the right intention, and look at the tremendous reward. Again, using that that's the cap. You have a day, a certain number of hours. How do you want to use it? Some of us will fast it while we're doing everything else, might even think about it, and you look at the reward. And some might let it go, just another day. So which one do you want to do? And then one last thing about fasting that day. So the Prophet fasted the night. And then in one of the narrations, was in Medina, the people told him, alerted him, they said, Banu Israel, they fast this day, the 10th, because of its significance. Obviously, they believe the same thing. So the Prophet wanted to, even in this act of ibadah, right, wanted to be different. Remember, we talked about Muslim identity. The Prophet was very, very important for him to establish that Muslim identity. So we need to be different. Said إذا كان العام المقبل, the next year comes, he's already thinking about the next year, time and time. Insha'Allah, sunnah fast. If the next day will come, I will fast the night. SubhanAllah. This was the year that the Prophet Allah was deceased. So we didn't get to that. So the point is, if you can fast the night as well, that is much more recommended. So the 9th and the 10th. And there's some narrations about fasting in the 11th. They're a little less strong, but the point is, not just fasting the 9th. I recommend to fast, not just the 10th. Also fasting the day before. So in other words, Tuesday, Wednesday. Put on your calendar on your phones to Tuesday, Wednesday, inshallah, and look at it as a fast. And may Allah make us amongst those that get that, the easier work to do that. Forgiveness of an entire year of sins for a siyam of 1 or 2 days. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us amongst those that take advantage of their lives, take advantage of their lives, that we don't waste our times and lives and our negligence. Ask forgive our sins. اللهم اغفر لنا وارحمنا واهدنا واعف عنا وتقبل منا انك انت السميع العليم. صلى الله وسلم وبارك على عبده ورسوله محمد وعلى اله وصحبه اجمعين.
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
الله الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا سبح اسم ربك الأعلى الذي خلق فسوى والذي قدر فهدى والذي أخرج المرعى فجعله غثاء أحوى سنقرئك فلا تنسى إلا ما شاء الله إنه يعلم الجهر وما يخفى ونيسرك لليسرى فذكر نفعت الذكرى سيذكر من يخشى ويتجنبها الأشقى الذي يصلى النار الكبرى ثم لا يموت فيها ولا يحيا قد أفلح من تزكى وذكر اسم ربه فصلى بل تؤثرون الحياة الدنيا والآخرة خير وأبقى إن هذا لفي الصحف الأولى صحف إبراهيم وموسى. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله